This is live on KEXP. I'm Eva Walker, your host, here on 90.3 FM in Seattle, streaming worldwide at KEXP.org and on the mobile apps. And KEXP is a nonprofit, and these live in-studio performances are made possible by your donation. So visit KEXP.org/live to donate. And we are in the live room with Big Joanie, all the way from London. Thank you so much for being here and coming to Seattle, and I'm so excited to hear what you're going to play.
Thanks for having me. This is happier. I wanna feel happier, happier, happier still. I feel happier, happier, happier still. It's been a long road, running out of time. It's been a hard road. I'm feeling fine, but I feel fine. So I feel fine, and I feel fine. Now I feel fine. And I feel happier, happier, happier still. I feel happier, happier, happier still. There is a lonely, has a time of day, but when the sun sets, it comes out to show its face. But I feel fine, so I feel fine, and I feel fine. Now I feel fine. Feel happier, happier, happier still. I feel happier, happier, happier still. No fear, no fear, no fear. Yeah, I feel happier, happier, happier still. I feel fine.
This is 90.3 FM, KEXP, streaming worldwide at KEXP.org. You're listening to Big Joanie.
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? It's in the setting sun and the pouring rain. The seasons come go, and you don't breathe again. What are you waiting for?
Big Joanie. Big Joanie live on KEXP.
You're right, I'm tormented, I feel like I'm tormented. You make my world feel less than. Don't mind, I'm tormented, my life's been tormented. It's like a rush of starry lights. I make my mistakes time and time again. I make my mistakes time and time again. You're right, I'm something better. Look out, I'm something better. Get lost in conversations. Don't mind, I'm something better. My life's been something better. You make my world feel smaller still. I make my mistakes time and time again. I make my mistakes time and time again. Mistakes time and time again. I make my mistakes time and time again. You know I'm tormented, I feel like I'm tormented. You make my world feel less than. Don't mind, I'm tormented, my life's been tormented. It's like a rush of starry lights. I make my mistakes time and time again. I make my mistakes time and time again. Again.
This is live on KEXP 90.3 FM in Seattle, Washington. I'm Eva Walker. We are in the live room with Big Joanie, and KEXP is a nonprofit. And these live in-studio performances are only possible because of your donations. So please consider giving. Visit kexp.org/live.
You can find me on the porch street, letting them dismiss me. Till the rain falls, saying ahead.
This is live on KEXP. I'm Eva Walker. We are in the live room with Big Joanie, here all the way from London. Thank you so much for stopping by the studio. And let's chat a bit. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Let's talk. What's exciting and nerve-wracking about being on a big tour in the United States?
Well, we're going to lots of places we've never been to before. This is our first American tour. So yeah, before now we've only played at South by Southwest in the US. So yeah, it's quite exciting to go to new territories, see new music scenes around the city and stuff. So it's cool. Like, yeah.
Yeah, enjoyed it. We learnt what a biscuit means over here. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have fun with food conversations. So right now on KEXP this year, we've been highlighting 50 years of hip-hop music for hip-hop's birthday. And a lot of people, through learning about hip-hop and the music, people are learning that it's more than just music, it's actually a culture. And I think that of punk as well. So I wanted to ask you, what does being punk mean to Big Joanie?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it can mean several things. I think for us as Black women, how we exist in this world, we have to be punk. We have to be anti-establishment anyway. So we're already sort of 50% there. But then on the other side as well, it is about us being like finding our way in the world. So like with this band, for example, you know, some of us learned how to play for this band. Some of us were all in DIY bands. And it's very much about sort of, you can just have a go. You don't have to be, you know, the next Beyonce or whatever, even though she's amazing. But, you know, there's something about punk rock that makes anybody be able to get on stage and have a go. And I think that's why we love it so much and that's why we value it.
Absolutely. And I like that you said that about just being Black women. We're already 50% there. And I want to ask about that because as a Black woman who also plays rock and roll music, I get called radical a lot. And I'm like, I think I'm reasonable. I think just the fact that we exist and we do what we do, that's radical. Do you identify with that adjective?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, the whole idea of the band in the beginning was that, you know, the rest of the world is so hyper-capitalist and devoted to, male white supremacy that, you know, Big Joanie is a space where we can get in a room and as three Black women just exist without those kind of pressures. And it's about imagining what can exist where if that outside world didn't, you know, grind us down every day. So I think we're kind of, the idea of, you know, being Black women in the band is that we're naturally defiant, we're naturally radical, you could say. But we're not necessarily going to be writing songs about hating white men every day because who cares about them?
And I've read that you all are a fan of the Riot Grrrl movement that happened in the early 90s, which actually was created an hour south of here in Olympia, Washington. And there's a lot of great messages and songs and bands out of the Riot Grrrl movement. I was born and raised here, and not until I was a little bit older did I get kind of familiar with Riot Grrrl. But a lot of messages of empowerment, anti-racist messages and things like that, and things that were really great about those songs. However, even the Riot Grrrl movement, with all of those messages, was still very white dominant. And I've read that you've all been considered a Riot Grrrl band in this era right now. And so I wanted to ask you, how have you seen the Riot Grrrl movement change over time, especially recently when it comes to intersectionality?
I don't know, maybe so. But I think for me personally, I think that movement, the original movement that you were talking about, was a very white and middle class movement as well. And being Black and coming from a working class background, I found it quite hard to relate to certain messages. Whereas I think now there's much more of an understanding of different class backgrounds, which are white and Black, and also with race as well, and how to have those conversations in a better way. And I think that reflects in our band and a lot of the other bands that are coming up who still love that music, but it's like pushing it the next step, which is where we need to go now.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like with kind of each new generation, because of the availability of the internet and kind of how much you can just kind of listen to those songs and read the zines, you can kind of take the messaging without all the baggage. And I think definitely kind of when I was growing up, Riot Girl was really important for me as a 16-year-old, but I didn't know that it was like, there were those aspects to it. I just kind of saw the messaging and thought, okay, I'll apply that to myself. And, you can build something better on things that other people have done before, which I think is really punk and really inspiring.
I think it's really cool to see, the resurgence of bands from that era being able to come back and take on those critiques as well and, like, make thoughtful choices about the bands who they're taking out on tour. Like, we supported Bikini Kill 2 nights in London, and they made the effort to have, like, POC artists as part of all of the support and stuff, and I kind of see it with who they take out on the road now. So I think, like, having that distance, it's cool to see people who've inspired us be able to progress and move with the times as well, and be able to reflect and look back and be like, actually, maybe it wasn't super inclusive before, but what can we do now to try and correct that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And this new album, Back Home, is incredible. This most recent album, Back Home. And I like the more gothy feel it has to it. And I was going to ask, what are some non-musical influences that you guys have, whether for this album or just in general?
Non-musical. Definitely lots of well, I'm a journalist, so lots of kind of writing and books. I was inspired by Gio Tolentino's book, Trick Mirror. And yeah, I think reading a lot of non-fiction, seeing kind of what's going on in the world, kind of really makes you want to write something in response to it, definitely.
I think definitely film played quite a strong influence. So if you're looking at how our sound kind of progressed from the first album, and then you have the Crane single that we made, Third Man in between, and that's kind of like a sort of desert rock sort of vibe, stoner rock, and then now it's kind of progressed into something else. So those are a lot of things that I tend to think visually, and I think when we work with our producer Margot, a lot of the references are visual to get the sort of sound and vibe of what we're trying to reach, I think. But we're all super proud of this album. I think, we've grown, like I said, we come from like a sort of DIY punk scene, and we've grown musically. And I think this album is definitely like a challenge to ourselves and a sort of representative of where we're going in the future, I think.
Yeah, amazing. And finally, I just want to know, when did you all realize this was the lineup for the band? This is the group you wanted to play as, and the people you wanted to play with. And how did that feel?
Well, I met Chardine at a Black feminist meeting, and I think those kind of gatherings are just really inspiring to find your people. We only spoke for like 1 minute.
Steph had a really cool tote bag.
Yeah.
Raincoats tote bag, wasn't it?
Tote bag, and we just kind of knew we were on the same vibe. And Stella, I knew because she played in like every band in London.
Yeah. I forced my way onto Big Joanie's radar because I was playing in another band, and I saw that they were playing in Camden, and I asked the promoter if my band could join the bill so that I could finally see Big Joanie. So
Nice.
yeah, I was standing before I even joined.
Placing herself very close to us in the hope one day. And also, we play Vanessa Govinden here, who's been a friend of ours for a long time, and she does like guitar and synth, and she also plays an amazing band called White Lands at home. So it's nice to be able to like support people from the sort of POC punk community as much as we can, and we try to do that by bringing people along with us on tour, or even just like in small ways, like, because we're going up, like being able to like, teach younger bands and talk to younger bands about, things like visas and all that kind of practical stuff that they don't tell you. So being able to sort of give back to the community is really important to us.
Yeah. And, I thought that was my last question, but then I realized, wait, I got to ask about this drumming standing up thing. I love this. So what in, just talk about that. You drum standing up.
And it was purely by accident, because our first gig was at a feminist thing where it was like I played for 15 minutes and you had to do something that you'd never played before, never been in a band. So I literally just had a floor tom and a snare, because I really love the Juice and Mary Chain and a Mo Tucker of Underground. It just seemed like a quick and easy thing to do for that 15-minute gig, and that was like years ago now. So now I'm still here. And it's just kind of grown. But I think, you know, I had a really wonderful conversation with a young woman drummer the other day, and just saying to her, like, you have to find your own style. All my favorite drummers, often they're self-taught or they have a very distinctive style, so you know it's them, like Meg White, for example. And, you know, I think now I'm, like, confident enough to say, like, this is my instrument and setup and nobody can touch it. So.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you, Chardine, Stephanie, Estelle, and Vanessa. Big Joanie for being here at KEXP. This is live on KEXP. I'm Eva Walker, your host on 90.3 FM, KEXP, and streaming worldwide at kexp.org and on the mobile apps. We are a nonprofit, and these in-studios are possible because of your donations. So visit kexp.org/live. And thank you, Big Joanie, for being here.
Thank you so much.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.